Welcome to Wisdom Women, the podcast where we meet empowered women and uncover the stories that shape them. We dive into the role models who lifted them up, the moments that tested them, and what empowerment truly means and what it doesn't mean. From burlesque dancers turned breathwork facilitators to moms who moonlight as entrepreneurs, the wisdom here is raw, real, and undeniably contagious. So get ready to be inspired by the women who lived it. And apologies up front for my voice today, which is not contagious, I promise. You're watching this on YouTube. But we have with us today Kat Ziemba, who is such a beautiful, beautiful sister that I have met over this past year. And she is here with us today. Welcome, Kat.
Hi.
Hello, hello. I have cough drops. I have a tea. I am not sick. This is just like a crazy thing that is happening. So I think that just shows me that I need to be quiet, and I'll be letting you speak so much more today and tell us so much more about yourself. But I would love to introduce Kat because Kat did a photography session with me out at the Red Rose Temple at Amanda's in the Poconos. That was just different than I've ever had. It was and I've had beautiful sessions with other photographers, but Kat had this energy of really helping me to be seen, to connect with my sacredness, to be very beautiful in the moment. I had a candle. Like it was just, it's such a beautifully empowering moment that I could feel. And so I was so excited when you said yes to come and being a guest for the Wisdom Women podcast, because I definitely felt like you have some magic in you that I just want to hear more about. But before we dive into that, just tell us a little bit about what you do and some of the services you offer.
So yeah, I'm a photographer. It's kind of taken me a while to really find my niche, but really like what my specialty is helping other women feel empowered, helping them build their inner confidence to really feel beautiful in their skin and their authenticity exactly as they are. And for me, that really came from the fear of being seen. That is where all of this started for me. It was within myself. I really had this lack of confidence. I was so afraid to put myself out there. I remember even as a child being like, if I could have any superpower in the world, it would be to be invisible. I wanted no one to see me. I wanted to be completely camouflage, wallflower, and it's really interesting because when we started, one of the very first mini sessions I ever did at the Red Rose, you were there for, and our whole theme, if you remember for that night, was it's safe to be seen. And that really opened up something in me. It was always there, but that particular circle was so powerful for me to see the impact that my photography had on so many women and myself, and what a journey that has been.
And then, and I agree with you completely. I think there's this, for me, I felt like, especially after motherhood, and I felt so disconnected from my body, and I didn't even recognize myself, not just the weight gain, but all parts of me just felt so different. So I was never being photographed. And I was usually a ham. I was in my 20s on photos. And something really shifted. And there is this thing about seeing ourselves that I don't know if that's what you're seeing in women. Is there something there that is this sort of block to our authenticity, like you said?
Yeah, it's such a powerful experience. And yeah, I completely resonate with what you're saying about motherhood. That's been a thing for me. I've had 3 babies, and there have been times that I've looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Just because you change and you evolve so much, your capacity, everything changes about you. Even looking at it from a scientific perspective, your body just changes in a variety of ways, but beyond that, in spiritual ways too. And I think especially having the opportunity to see women as themselves, it really shows you, at least from my perspective as the photographer, it has helped me see the humanity in other people. And it's helped me to be less harsh on myself, because I see these women and I see how beautiful they are. And I'm like, if everybody could see you the way that I see you right now, if you could see yourself the way that I see you right now, and that because we are our worst critics at the end of the day.
So what do you find that women walk away from your sessions? What's the change that can happen with those photography moments?
Sometimes very subtle and sometimes very impactful, very large. It's like I have heard women say when they see the photos, "Oh, I can't believe that's me. How
Right.
is that me?" Like it is you. It's somebody else taking a photo of you and capturing you from a different perspective.
Mm.
And that's the thing about us as human beings is like when we look in the mirror, we're only seeing one perspective. We're not seeing all of the different angles, the different lighting, the different poses. We are so much more than one flat image that you see. And that's why I always tell women if you see a bad photo of yourself, don't take it so hard because that's only one frame in how many millions of frames,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's so true.
We
That's
all have bad pictures.
and I feel like my husband tends to get all the bad pictures of me. I'm like, "Oh, I have to do this for my social
Oh,
media."
they're
And he's
so
just like
good at that. Oh, yeah, they're great at that.
he's like, "Got it. Here you go."
Yeah.
But that is beautiful. I feel like, thinking like I was thinking about photography before we had our call today and the story of how the aboriginals look at like they think it's like it captures your soul in the photo. Like there's something
Oh,
very
yeah.
I think they don't like to be photographed very often. I forget
Yeah.
where I was in a movie or something. I just showed that and I'm like, wow, that is so important because, it's like keeping the time capsule of our life in some ways. It's this like validation of like I'm alive. I'm here. I'm in this moment. I'm in this memory right now instead of just our perspective and I'm going very deep with this, but
Right.
I think
No, I
photography
know.
is huge, especially with the social media and like it's my brand now and I have to really tell a story with what I do and I think it's been actually really fun to sort of explore that because my business I do that, but I think a lot of women it's like I couldn't imagine having to do, social media and stuff and I'm like you're right. It was a big block to go through to start to be seen and allowing that out there without fear. And do you find that with some of your clients? Like there's just this
Oh, yeah.
hesitation, but then I know you did
Yeah.
some like boudoir shoots too, right? Didn't you do some of
So
those?
much fun. So much fun. And
That
yes, it's really like I'd say more often than not, most women come into the shoot feeling a little bit nervous, which is totally normal because you're vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable position to
yes.
be in because you're being photographed and people are looking at you, and that is very hard. And believe me, I know. I know. It's been a personal journey for me. So I really know and I understand that fear. And for me, my goal is to help those women just really like relax and feel calm, feel like this isn't just about the photos, it's the experience. This is about building you up, building up your confidence because every person is so beautiful. Everyone.
That's true, 100%. And I think that as a photographer, there is a lot of um, holding space type of thing like that you do with this person with you. So that's a great segue into my question about who brought that to you. Like, how did you connect with that? Were there role models in your life? It could be either famous or family members or just other women in this world that were sort of like the inspiration for some of your empowerment.
So the person that I really wanted to talk about today, I thought about this really. It was a really hard decision because there's so many women. Like, how could I talk about, all of the women
That's
who had an
blessings. That's
impact? But
great. Yeah.
I know it's amazing. But for me, I really wanted to talk about my mom. My mom is, I don't even know where to start with my mom. She is a superhero in so many ways. She is so inspiring to me. She really has, and I know like she, if she was listening to this, she'd be like, no, that's not me. But she's always had this radiance about her. She's always had so much confidence and so much tenacity, strength. I've seen my mom do it all. And when she gets a vision in her head, like she means business, she's not afraid to do anything. She doesn't follow by the rules.
Exactly.
So my mom for me really has like inspired confidence in a lot of ways.
So I think that's a common thread that we get on here a lot, which just puts a lot of pressure on me as a mom. Like all these beautiful ways I
I
need to
know.
be a role model because this role
Yeah.
matters. But what were any do you have any stories like about examples
Yeah.
of how she doesn't play by the rules, because I like that one a lot of rounds. Not
Yeah.
that I'm into anarchy or anything like that, but how can we write the story? How can we do it differently? I'd love to hear anything.
Yeah, so my mom, we've had a complicated relationship. I mean, I feel like that's the case for
Sure.
a lot of mothers and daughters, all of us really. But um, my mom is Italian. She's Sicilian specifically, and we like to joke that she is the spicy Italian variety.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, she's very fiery. She's a Leo. She's a lot of fire energy. And so like yeah, we've had a tough time in our family. Like even though we're very close now, things were not always like that. When I was about 13 or 14, stepping into womanhood, you know, like I had just gotten like my first period. I was just kind of like coming into myself. She kind of had, I guess you would say, I don't want to call it like a midlife crisis. It wasn't exactly that, but it was a series of events that happened. She ended up having a miscarriage in a really traumatic way,
Mm.
and I think that that kind of opened something in herself to realize that she didn't know who she was outside of being a mom. She didn't know who she was outside of being a wife. My parents had been married for 15 years and she decided this is the end of it. I'm going to go find me.
Mhm.
And she moved to South Carolina about 7 or 800 miles away. And that was really really hard for our family. It was devastating in a lot of ways and I don't want to I don't want to make this a like hate on my mom thing because
Right, right, right.
I realize now, like as a mother, now into my 30s, I understand she needed to do that for her. She needed to go find herself. But for me, it really brought up a lot of abandonment. You know,
Mhm.
I felt like it was my fault at the time, felt like it was something was wrong with me. And it was really, really hard to get past that in our family. And what ended up happening right after that is my dad got into a really bad car accident
Mm.
and he was not able to work anymore. And so we ended up losing everything. We lost our home. We didn't have, you know, the added support of my mom's income anymore. So it was like boom, 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 you know,
Yeah.
miscarriage, parents got divorced, dad got in a car accident, we lost our house, all of these things in like a very short period of time. And it was extremely hard because my dad was struggling to support us on his own. You know, he didn't have money anymore, he didn't have a job, and he was like physically disabled at that point. He has since recovered, thank God.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
at the time it was really scary. And I was at a point where I said, you know what? I can't, I feel like I have to make a change. I need my mom. And my mom offered, hey, do you want to move down to South Carolina with me? And I thought, that's a big change, but if it's going to happen, now's the right time to do it, right? So I moved down to South Carolina and we had, oh, gosh, it was rough. My mom and I are very similar.
Oh, yeah.
Similar in some ways and different in others. And I feel like we both kind of have that fire in us. I'm a Sagittarius. I think if I
I
remember
am
like
too,
you, you're a
yes. And
yeah.
Polish and
So
Sicilian. We sisters.
that's too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we really clashed a lot, and I mean, it was like one of those things where that dynamic, it was like we were meant to be there to do what we were doing at the time. We were meant to have these things happen, and it was really, really hard. Like a lot of stuff came up. A lot of the abandonment stuff for me came up, and a lot of
Mm.
things came up for her after I had my second child, my daughter, we ended up deciding, you know what, or my relationship with my mom just isn't good anymore. Things were really, really bad between us. And we moved back up here to Pennsylvania. And that was after about a decade, 10 years or so of me living in South Carolina with her.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so a lot of big changes. And when we got up here, I don't know how much time passed. It was like a couple years had passed, and we really worked on healing our relationship during that time. We really needed the distance between us, I think, to heal on a deeper level. And we did. Things got a lot better. And after I had my third baby, is when things got really intense. I had the worst postpartum depression and anxiety I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And actually, it was one of those things that I feel like was divinely led because my mom was really missing us. Like we had been healing our relationship, and she decided that she wanted to buy a second home to live up here part time so that she could spend more time with us, which was really sweet and amazing. And it was crazy because at the time that she bought the house, I was pregnant with my third baby,
Mm.
and she didn't know it, but I knew it. And I didn't tell her. So she was here through a lot of that postpartum depression and anxiety that I had with my third. And
Wow.
it was so crazy, like just to have her here because she wasn't really there for my second as much. We were really at odds at the time.
Mhm.
And so having her here was really deeply healing for me. And I really needed her support. And like when you become a mom, you realize how much you need your own mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they say that it takes a village, and it really does. Like you need that added support. You need another person there to hold your hand or, help you hold the baby so you could take a shower, things like that.
Yeah.
And she was really here, and I appreciated that so much. And then what ended up happening was very unfortunate, but because she still lived in South Carolina, she was renting out her house up here in Bethlehem. It was a townhouse. She
Mhm.
was renting it out on Airbnb while she wasn't here to, recoup some of the mortgage costs. It was very expensive.
Yeah.
But the HOA was giving her a really hard time. She ended up having some problems. They had like some kind of outdated policy that you couldn't have Airbnb in their community. So she kind of had this choice to make of, okay, well, what do I do? Because my husband lives in South Carolina. I know that he's not going to move to Pennsylvania. I have to pick. And she felt very torn between the two places. And it was really hard because my mom and I had started really, since we had like healed our relationship, we started talking a lot about, where do we want to go forward? Where do we want to move? What do we want to do? And we had this idea that we wanted to start a farm. We wanted to buy a farm like up here and do that together because that was something that her and I had always talked about. Like when I was a little kid, I always said, "Oh, I just want to live on a farm." That was my big dream. Like, why can't we
Huh.
live on a farm? And she would laugh it off and say, that's a lot of work. But, so we had been looking at some properties up here, and some of them were nice. But the thing is, like, the land was just very, very expensive up here. And she ended up making the decision to buy a property down in South Carolina,
Okay.
which was really heartbreaking for me at the time because I had just like gotten used to having my mom again. I felt like we'd healed our relationship. I was like, it's so nice having you here. Like, I can't imagine you leaving,
Mhm.
and just going back to life being 800 miles away. But in a way, it's like it kind of worked out because my mom is a free spirit. And I think that the rules they weren't the way that they are up here. Like there was no HOA to deal with down where she
Oh,
got the
right.
farm, of
Right.
course. And she just she has all of these big plans. So she ended up buying this farm, and they're making it into a retreat center. It's
Oh.
on like over 40 acres. It's called Sacred Creek Farm and Retreat. So it
Oh.
has this beautiful creek along the side of it. It's amazing. And I feel like this is exactly how it was meant to happen. But of course, it was hard
That's
knowing that
tough.
like it wasn't going to be here
Mm.
because it's so far. It's like a 12-hour drive.
Oh gosh.
Um so I don't know where I was going to go with that, but that's just kind of where my relationship with her is at right now. I've seen her doing some really incredible things on the farm, and even though it's been so hard, I'm starting to realize that this happened on purpose. Like this is how it was meant to be. The dollar stretches so much farther where she bought the farm. It's in this beautiful place in upstate South Carolina,
Uh-huh.
and I've been there. She's actually the one who bought me my first camera.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, the reason why she ended up doing that is because, well, I was always interested in photography. Even when I was a kid, I was always
Mhm.
geeking out, going around with my little, disposable camera, taking pictures of everything. And she knew that I really, really wanted to get into professional photography. And this was like shortly after they bought the farm, and she built a cottage on the farm to rent out on the property,
Uh-huh.
and she needed somebody to photograph the property and photograph the cottage that they had been working on and do some like lifestyle sessions. So she said, "Hey, I know that you really want this camera. I'm going to buy it for you. Can you come down and take some pictures?"
Wow.
And
Amazing.
it's like, it was amazing. And at the time, I still like, I felt really scorned about, oh, how could she do this to me? How could she leave me again? And, all those abandonment issues came up again.
Yeah.
But I had to realize that my mom's vision was so much bigger than what I could possibly imagine. It wasn't about me. I'm only one person in this, this whole picture.
Mm.
It like the whole thing really just taught me so much. We have really like healed our relationship. I did go down there. I didn't want to. At first I was stubborn, like, no, I don't want you to buy the camera. I'm not gonna come down there mad.
You made your
But I
choice.
got over it. Yeah. I journaled about it. I
Mm.
did a lot of meditating on it. I realized this is what is meant to happen. It really worked out in a beautiful way. And I'm just so grateful. Like, she really supported my dreams, by
Yeah.
taking that initiative because I kept telling myself, like, oh, I'm not going to spend the money on a camera because if you've ever looked at professional cameras, they are not cheap. They
Right.
cost a lot of
Exactly.
money. And
Yeah.
I always told myself, why would I spend the money, to do that? Now I've done a lot of work around that and I understand the investment part of a business and how important that is, investing in yourself and your talents. But she really took that step for me.
Yeah.
My mom has never played small. She has never shied away from living out her purpose. And I really, really admire that about her. She has always had that fire in her to when she gets an idea, she knows that it's divine in her and she goes for it. She does not wait for anybody to tell her how or when.
Wow. And I feel like, and thank you for sharing all of that. That was such a beautiful, vulnerable story. That I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with. Like we do have all these very complicated mother relationships, and our parents are just like this big keystone in like how we see the world, how we become empowered or not, or disempowered, or, it gives us like our work that we have to do. And, you know, hearing about your mom, it was kind of like I was thinking about the next question I usually have is like, what are the character traits that you feel like in an empowered woman? The and this is a hard one where there's like an idea, an action, and feeling aligned and feeling very the conviction of like what I need to do. And it's going to be hard, but I need to do this thing. I don't think we all feel that all the time in different ways, but what do you think? Do you think those are I know that's one of the traits, but what are
Yeah.
some other ones that you think maybe pop out in your mom's journey?
Yeah. It's so we're both very stubborn. And sometimes, we have to do things that we don't want to do. And like when she left, I mean, we were both bawling in the parking lot before she
Yeah.
left. I didn't want it to happen. She wasn't really happy about it either, but it still felt like it was the right thing. And so we did the hard thing, and that was to part ways for that period of time.
Yeah.
And another thing that like I've really learned, and this is something that her and I both really worked on over the course of our whole relationship, is vulnerability. It's really hard. We're really stubborn. We don't want people to see us emotional or upset or, to get our feelings hurt. But what a gift that is to give the people around you. I to allow yourself to be seen in your vulnerability is literally giving permission to every woman around you to do the same.
Mm.
And it's so important. It's so important to allow yourself to be seen, and not just for those like happier or more palatable emotions.
Right.
Allow yourself to be seen when you're crying or when you're screaming, when you're angry. Those emotions are beautiful too, and we need them all.
Yeah, I always say that there's like anytime I get tears from something, I'm like, it's the truth. I feel like there is a lot of truth,
Mhm.
even if it's something that I need to look at, something is there. That's another layer that needs to be explored. But tears used to be such a shameful thing for me, like through life of just like, and then it almost made it worse. Like I'd have to hold it in, and then it was
I
like an
know. I
explosion.
know.
And now it's like, I need to cry. I'm going to go cry for a little bit. Needs to happen. And that's, it's kind of a balancer for me now. Now it's like, oh, I need to hear something is happening in my body. And
Yeah.
I never had that lesson growing up. Our society really doesn't do that for us. Even though there's that movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Broadcast News. Have you ever seen it?
Mm-mm.
Holly Hunter, William Hurt. They were in a news channel, very big 1980s, like wild, fast paced, and she would literally unplug a phone and just sit by a river or sit in a room and sob and like let that energy out because it was just like
You need that.
she couldn't
Oh, you
do
need
it.
it.
Right. And that's
Yeah,
it's
it's so
time for
important.
that.
And yeah, it's such a beautiful gift to give those around you to like be vulnerable. It's a gift to the people around you. And also what a gift it is to see the person who's being vulnerable.
Mhm.
I just photographed a speech recently. Latha J did a keynote speech at this Women in Small Business Summit.
Mhm.
And I was photographing her. And afterwards, she got off the stage, and I was just sitting there like weeping,
Oh,
sobbing because her speech touched my heart so deeply. I I had no words. And she just stood there with me, and she didn't really say a lot, but she just kept saying, "I see you. I see you."
yeah,
And that has stuck with me. Like I needed that. And how powerful it is to see people in their vulnerability, in their emotions, and say, "It's okay. I'm going to be here. I'm just going to sit with you."
that is. Takes a lot of bravery in both people.
It does.
It takes a lot of
Mhm.
courage to sit with each other in those things and not
I know.
feel that discomfort and, like,
Right.
the fear and all the things. It takes time, but, I'm warming up to it. Now I love a good cry. It's like, "Oh, it's time for a
Yeah, I
cry.
know. It feels so good.
Fantastic. I'm gonna go get my pajamas on. I'm gonna go have a good cry." Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much again for sharing that. I really didn't know where this conversation was gonna go, and I feel like, hearing about your mom is just like, um beautifully resonating for everybody. I do. I think that no matter what, even if we had the perfect mom or even if we had like a not very involved mom, like there's that longing for that, always for that, like the healing of that relationship in some way, even if it's like needs to go to the next level, or maybe there's a mom that's too involved and I need to find those kind of boundaries in a way. Um, I think that's what is important with these wisdom women talks, is that like we acknowledge that wisdom inside of us, that was our DNA as well, that comes out in these spaces.
Mhm.
So, oh, love that. I got chills from that. Well, okay, so this is the part where usually we'll pull a card with the guests that I have. And I wanted you to choose today. I had two decks I was looking at, and I don't know which one's for Kat. So I want to see if I know you have such a good intuitive connection. So I have my Mystic Sisters deck, which is very beautiful. And I always love kind of um, the different oracles. And then I also had a past life deck. It's a past life oracle deck. So which one's calling to you?
Ooh, that's hard. I feel like something is telling me to go with the past life.
Okay, me too. I'm glad. I was like, I wasn't sure if we were up for this today because these can get very interesting and sometimes very vague.
Yeah.
But I know that you can see things on like a very deeper level. Okay. So I have my deck and I'm knocking them out. And then I'm going to shuffle. And whenever you intuitively feel it's time, you just say the word stop. And then I'll pull one out.
Stop.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. It is authority figures.
Here we go.
Love those authority figures. Oh my gosh. Okay. It says, oh my gosh, I have to change my glasses because this one's really small. One second here. Okay. Okay. In your previous and current lifetimes, you followed rules that were set down by authority figures such as parents and teachers. You may have also encountered intimidating or even cruel authority figures in the past. Perhaps you found yourself in the presence of those who were power hungry or abusive. These situations can lead you to fear authority figures and succumb to their will in the present. While it's normal to sometimes be intimidated by powerful individuals, fearing authority figures can lead to unhealthy passivity. For example, you may feel pressured to bow to others' rules without standing up for your rights, or you may develop, in quotes, conflict phobias, in which you negate your own needs in order to avoid arguments and disharmony. In some cases, this can lead to a form of depression called learned helplessness, in which you don't even try. To heal the situation, fill yourself with self love and self esteem and see yourself as being whole and healed. Oftentimes, just remembering past life details will lead to clearing and healing. Wow. What do you think? What does that come up for you in that
Wow.
card?
That definitely resonates.
Yeah.
As somebody who has been struggled with people pleasing my whole life, I really feel that.
Sure. Oh, gosh.
And just going like with the theme of like my mom and like everything that she's taught me, my mom has never played small. She's never made herself smaller or more palatable for anyone. And that is a lesson that I really want to feel. And I want to embody the energy of just saying, you know what? People are going to have their own opinions.
Yeah.
It's time for me to love myself and step into my power.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's good.
I love that. And for me, it was kind of like I needed teachers along the way to show me that because I did definitely the
Yes.
witch wound and all of that inside of there. I feel like I needed when I worked in New York and I had all these power bosses and stuff. And I was always like, that's too much. She's too much. And I was like, that's not enough. Like, this is true. Like, and I hearing about your
Yeah.
mom, it's like, oh, when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, another teacher. She's like one of those teachers, even though she's not perfect. She's a human too, but like those lessons that kind of keep getting shared and keep getting passed down to start healing the collective of women, to be quite
Exactly.
honest.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, I really feel that.
Mm,
Wow. Yeah,
amazing.
I've always struggled with that. Like authority figures, it's hard because
Yeah.
I've always kind of struggled with the same kind of feelings like, oh, they're just, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, they're just being a bitch,
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not.
Right.
It's okay. Like, let
Yeah.
them step in their power, let them be powerful, let them have confidence,
Yeah.
and learn how to learn from that, embody that yourself.
Agree.
I love that.
Agree. That's cool. All right. I'll share that card out as we're like sharing on the social media for this talk that we're having. But I really would love for you to tell us like how people can find you and set up these amazing experiences. I mean, to me, I'm like, you don't even need a photo. This is like a retreat experience, which I think you're doing as well, right? Some kind of
Yes.
retreat. So tell us all
Yes.
about what you're up to.
Yeah, so I have some things going on. I am going to be doing my first retreat at the Harmony Mountain
Hey.
House. And that is, I believe it's May 22nd through the 26th. It's
Mm.
Memorial Day weekend. And the general theme of that retreat is sun goddess energy. So, stepping into your power, embracing your confidence, letting yourself shine, bringing about radiance to your soul, and working on your sacral, solar plexus, which for me, those are the two
Me
chakras
too.
that I need the most help with.
Hmm.
So I am very excited for that. I am also going to be doing mini portrait sessions at the Flower Moon Festival. So that's
Oh,
coming up. I think it's the 18th of
yeah,
May.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, so very excited about that. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm so excited. And then other than that, it's Katarina Rose photo on my website on Instagram. All of my sessions are unique. I don't really do the same kind of thing twice. So if you're interested, just shoot me a message and we'll chat. We'll talk about your vision.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Yes, I think it's like if you're feeling called to be seen, if you're feeling called to just have some space and time for yourself, I feel like, especially for me, it was like I've done branding photo shoots and stuff like that, but I hadn't really done photos like in my element of where I do my healing, which is in the circle when we gather and we
The
do all the
temple,
circles.
yeah.
Yeah, photos of me doing the hard work and meditating and like going to that space. So I think that's really special what you're doing all the
Yeah,
time.
that's what I love. That's definitely my passion is being in those spaces. Photography, I mean, I can only capture so much. The moment is so much more powerful than the photo, but at least you have that to look back on and say, "Damn, like I did the thing."
Yeah.
And look at what's happening. Look at my evolution.
Mm,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Evolution. Well, what a breath of fresh air. Apologies again for my raspy voice through this. I tried to stay in a
You did
baritone.
so good.
It seemed better down here. But thank you again, Kat. And I really wish you all the best and all this amazing stuff that you're bringing into the spaces with women. And I'm so excited to see how many people you empower along the way. So thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thanks.